Jesus and the leper part 2. I'll dwell upon. We'll go back to Matthew chapter 8 verse 1 to 4. Matthew chapter 8 verse 1 to 4.
When he came down from the mountain, great crowds followed him, and behold, a leper came to him and knelt before him, saying, Lord, if you will, you can make me clean. And he stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, I will be clean.
Okay, so we have seen this part, we started dwelling upon this part last week. And as we have seen that when this leper came and met him, his response was that he worshipped the Lord. He fell prostrate before him and he accepted him as Lord, or he addressed him as Lord, though he was in his leprosy. Again, that is what makes it so amazing, is that this man, though he is in a state of leprosy and he is full of leprosy, yet he is able to come before the Lord and worship him, fall prostrate before him and call him as Lord. Usually it is so difficult, or if we can say impossible, for a man to worship with his whole being when he is going through such difficult times. This is something that we have to recognize in our lives. As I am doing this study personally, and that's what I expect you also to understand, can a man, when he is going through the most terrible times, personally or physically, can still he worship? Can he still be joyful? Can he still be satisfied? Can he still be fulfilled? Yes, that is what we can learn from this man's life. That he is going through the depths of struggle personally. Like if we will see the life of Job, when he loses all his property and his children, he says the Lord has given and the Lord has taken. There is pain when you lose something that you have worked hard for, and something that is so close to you. He loses all his children whom he loved so much. Yet he is able to say that the Lord has given and the Lord has taken. And then next, what happens? His body is stuck with a very terrible boils, where he has to scratch those boils with broken pots. In that state, it seems so difficult for him to be able to continue to stand by the statement that he made previously. Why? It is because when an individual alone is going through a terrible struggle, even in that state can a man worship. Even in that state can a man praise. Even in that state can a man be joyful. It is beyond human comprehension that we believe that it is not possible. But when we look at this man's life, it is becoming possible. And we can practically see that it is possible. That if a man really comes to know the Lord, if a man really gets connected with the Lord, he can live a life which is independent of whatever state that he or she might be in. And that's such a hopeful, it's such a great hope that we receive when we look at this man. Because we don't find such examples often, or we don't see such examples in our lives or in the world that we live in. But when we look at such individuals in the Bible, it gives us a strength and the motivation to keep our hope alive, no matter how terrible, alone I am struggling in my life. That is what you can see. So, what prompted that kind of response from this leper? There are two reasons that prompted this kind of response. One is We will see in Matthew chapter 4, verse 23 to 24.
And he went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues, and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every disease and every infirmity among the people.
Okay, so that means that this man would have seen the Lord doing that. Okay, he would have definitely seen the Lord doing that. Okay, he is able to heal and he is able to deliver and he is able to really give health and restore health and deliver people from disease or sickness, and that would have definitely caught his mind, definitely would have caught his attention, and he definitely would have considered that. Okay, he wouldn't have shown just a passing interest in it, but he definitely would have shown much interest in it. Another aspect that we see, as I shared in last week's message also, in Matthew chapter 7 verse 28 and 29. Matthew 7, 28 and 29.
Jesus finished these sayings.
Ah.
The crowds were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one who had authority, and not as their scribes.
Okay, so if you will see this also, as we have seen in last week's message, he would have been one of the person who would have heard Jesus teaching the Sermon on the Mount, and he also would have been impressed by the authority with which he was teaching and preaching, because this is something that he would have never seen. Israel has never seen something like this before. So these two things would have definitely played a major role in the life of this man. That means he saw the works of the Lord, he heard the words of the Lord, and that motivated him enough to come to that kind of response. I'll dwell more upon these two aspects in my next week's message. I want to continue with the incident that is recorded in Matthew 8, 1 to 4. So the leper, we see, not only worshipped the Lord with all his heart, with his whole being, but I'm just amazed at the confidence. We already shared about this in my last week's message also. But amazed at this man's confidence in the Lord, in the way that he approached him. If you will see in Leviticus chapter 13, verse 45 and 46. Leviticus chapter 13, verse 45 and 46.
The leper who has a disease shall wear torn clothes, and let the hair of his head hang loose, and he shall cover his upper lip and cry, unclean, unclean. He shall remain unclean as long as he has the disease. He is unclean. He shall dwell alone in habitation outside the camp.
Okay, so if you will see, this man would have been living a normal life as many of us live. Okay, we get up in the morning, we have some works to do, okay, and then we have to go to work, or we have to go to school, or we have to go to college, or we have to fulfill different responsibilities that each one of us have in our life. And this man also was one of like us. Okay, don't think that he was some different person, came from some other planet. He was just like you and me. Okay, and he was having a normal life until he discovered a spot on his hand, or on his feet, or on some part of the body. And according to Mosaic law, whenever some kind of spot, something like that comes, he is supposed to immediately go to the priest and check that, get it checked if it is leprosy or something else. So this man would have also gone to the priest, and priest would have checked his hand or some part of his body. And when the priest would have checked him, the priest declares him unclean. From then on, till then, his life was normal. Till then, okay, he had his family relationships, he had his friends, and he had his work and he had his responsibilities and everything was going fine. But suddenly this part. And once the priest declares somebody as unclean, there are three things that generally happen in his life. One thing is, he has to now stop all businesses. He has to stop all the works that he used to do. Okay, going to office or going to business or conducting whatever works that he was doing at that point of time. He has to stop that. Okay, it is done with. Secondly, he is now removed from all his family. That is, maybe husband or wife or children or father or mother or brother or sisters. This person has to be removed from every one of them. I was just thinking, okay, each one of us live in a family. We have the comfort of the mother or the comfort of the father or comfort of the husband or comfort of the children or comfort of wife. We have so many comforts that comes through the relationships and friends and relatives. Now suddenly this man is removed from everything. Removed from the work that he was doing, removed from the very family for which he was living, and thirdly, all his comforts are removed. As you will see in that Leviticus 13th chapter, 46th verse. Read that again.
He shall remain unclean as long as he has a disease. He is unclean. He shall dwell alone.
Okay, he shall dwell alone. Now that's amazing. Dwell alone where? Not in the house. Outside the city. Okay, outside all the comforts of life. Outside all the comforts of the society. Think of that. Think of that. Okay, think of that. We are so accustomed to a normal way of living that it is so difficult for us to really get into the shoes of a man like this and understand. But if you can get into the shoes of this man and try to think, what would have been going through the heart and the mind of this man when the priest would have declared him unclean? Everything gone. Everything gone. Okay, so that is the state in which he was. But then he hears about Jesus. Okay, he hears about Jesus. And he gets confidence, he gets hope, he gets consolation, he gets comfort of soul. We all claim to be knowing Jesus for a long time. We all claim to be believing in Jesus for a long time. But if we do not have some comforts of life, if we do not have some things of life, let's say you don't have a job or you don't have money, you don't have some things that you want to have in your life, how is your response? How is your response? You say you have Jesus. You say that you are a believer in Jesus. You say you are a Christian. But when a little bit of comfort is disturbed, or little bit of some trial comes in your life, little bit of some struggle comes into your life, what is your response? Is Jesus able to comfort you? Is Jesus able to console you? Is Jesus able to give you that hope, that rest that this man is getting? Why not? Because you did not receive him as this man received. You did not understand him as this man understood. And that is so important for us to recognize and realize. So we'll go further. If you come back to Matthew chapter 8, verse 2.
And behold, a leper came to him and knelt before him, saying, Lord, if you will, you can make me clean.
Okay, so he says here, Lord, if you will. Okay, Lord, if you will. Now there are two schools of thought about what it may signify, or two interpretations. One of them I dealt upon in one of my prayer messages a long time back. And that is that maybe he does not know Jesus enough. Maybe his faith has not grown to such an extent that he can believe in Jesus. Therefore he is doubting whether the Lord will heal him or not. That is one of the thoughts that one set of Christians believe. But as I was considering that more deeper, there is a problem with that thought. Many people believe that, but I see a problem in that thought. One problem with that thought is, like we know a particular part of Christianity that preaches health and wealth gospel. That if you will ask the Lord, He will definitely heal you. If you will ask the Lord, He will definitely provide for you. If you ask the Lord, He will bless you with riches, He will bless you with houses, He will bless you with health, He will bless you with everything if you just ask Him. But that is not the truth. He will, if somebody says that healing is God's will, no, Bible doesn't say that. He may heal, and He heals, but we can't say that He always heals. Or else there won't be sickness in the church. There are so many people who are sick in the church. So, if we go by the thought that if only this man would have come to know Jesus enough, he would have definitely got the healing, he would have definitely had the belief that the Lord would have healed. That thought doesn't really go right. So this thought, so when it comes to temporal things of life, that means temporary things of life, you can't be sure. We go through the struggle. Maybe you go through the issue of health, or you go through the issue of struggles in family. What does God want me to do? We don't have clarity about so many things. We can't so clearly know if this is God's will or not. We move with some understandings, and sometimes we fail, sometimes we succeed. In many issues with regards to temporary things of this life, we don't get clarity. We don't which job to do, which company to join, which company not to join. Why is God not giving me a job? Why is God keeping me like this? Why is not God removing this sickness? There are so many things we don't have a clarity. So if somebody says that if you just come to know the Lord, you will get all the answers of life, you will get all the solutions of life, I would say no. It doesn't happen like that. We live in an imperfect state. Until Christ comes, there will be some things we won't be sure of. If you will come to Hebrews chapter 6 verse 3.
And this we will do if God permits.
He is saying, if this we will do, if God permits. Does that mean he is doubting? No. Because there will be many things in life which we will have clarity as time goes by, but we may have clarity or we may not have clarity. So if you are a person who believes that everything is going to be perfect when I am on the earth, everything will be perfectly going in my life, it doesn't work like that. It don't work like that. For everything you won't get clarity, as far as the temporary things of life are concerned. You will have to grow in discernment, you will have to grow in understanding to become better in your clarity, but it will not be a perfect clarity. And that is something that we need to understand. So, that first thought, if you want, you can go by, but there is a problem there. Second thought. And second thought I will teach you point by point. Second thought is, in that we see when he says, Lord, if you will, what does it signify? When the leper is saying, Lord, if you will, what does it mean? First and foremost, we see the leper's humility in it. Okay, we see the leper's humility. First thing is, we see he is not demanding. Okay, he is not demanding. Okay, many of us have an attitude, knowingly or unknowingly, but we have this attitude. He is God, so he should do. He is God. He can do anything, so he should do. He is God, nothing is impossible for him, so he should do good to me. Okay, that kind of an attitude many have. Like if you will see in Luke chapter 7 verse 4. Luke chapter 7 verse 4.
And when they came to Jesus, they besought him earnestly, saying, He is worthy to have you do this for
Again, that's amazing. These fellows, they are Jews, they are coming to the Lord and they are saying, this centurion is worthy to be blessed. You should do it. Who is worthy? Who is worthy in the sight of God? No man ever will become worthy to receive anything from God. No man can ever receive anything because of his worth, but because of God's grace. You are not worthy to receive anything from the Lord. Even if the Lord doesn't give you anything, you don't have any right to question it. Okay, we do not have any worth that God should answer us. Okay, that understanding every one of us should have. So these men, when they are coming to the Lord, they are saying, He is worthy, so you should do this. You may be saying, I am a good man, I am not sinning, I am a nice man, I am a righteous man, I don't do anything wrong, or I don't see anything wrong, or whatever. So God should do to me. Why should God do to me? Who are you? So God is not at all obligated to do anything for anyone. He is not obligated. If He does, it is because of His mercy, not because of your worth. And this is something that we have to recognize in our lives. Okay, this is something that we have to really recognize in our lives. Psalms chapter 78 verse 19 to 20. 20. Psalm 78 verse 19 and 20.
They spoke against God, saying, Can God spread a table in the wilderness? He smote the rocks so that water gushed out and streams overflowed. Can He also give bread?
Can He also give bread?
Or provide meat for His people?
Can you see that? The attitude. Okay, this is the kind of attitude that many have. He is God, so He should do. He has power, so He should do. Why should He do? He need not do. God is never in debt to any man to do anything, anytime. So, if you are receiving anything, recognize that it is not because of your worth, but it is because of God's mercy. Okay, it's not because of your goodness, but it is because of God's mercy. It is not because of your worth, it is because of who God is. Okay, many people ask, why did God so love the world? Because there is nothing in this world that should attract Him. So why did He love the world? It is because God is love. He loved the world not because of the world, but because of Himself. Because that is His nature. And that is something that we need to understand. So, this man is not demanding. When he is saying, Lord, if you will, what he is saying is, Lord, I am not demanding that. I am not saying I am worthy of it. I am not saying that you should do this for me. No. Lord, if you will, do it. Else, it's fine. That is the attitude. Another aspect that we can see here is, he is not even expressing his desire to be healed. Okay, he is not primarily expressing his desire to be healed. He is not expressing that. Okay, many of us, if we have a need, we don't mind. We say that, Lord, you do this to me, you should do this to me. Lord, please do this to me, or do this to me. Why should God do? Okay, but this man, okay, he is not even expressing his desire. Okay, what he is saying? He is literally saying there is, I am not saying what you should do, Lord. You do whatever you will. I won't tell you, you do this and you don't do this. You do that or you don't do that. I will not tell you, Lord. You are the Lord. You are my master. Who am I to tell you to do something for me? I am not the master. So he is not even expressing the desire. But what is he saying? Lord, if you will. Okay, Lord, if you please. Lord, if you want to. Okay, that's an amazing surrender. That's an amazing surrender that we can see in his life. Psalms 135 verse 6.
Whatever the Lord pleases, He does. In heaven,
In heaven, in honor. Okay, can you see that? This man would have come to understand. Okay, it is not what I please that matters, but it is what He pleases that matters. Okay, it is not what I want that matters, but it is what He wants that matters. Man, in our lives, if you will look at our lives, how many things we ask God to do because it pleases us. It gives us name, it gives us fame, it gives us comfort, it gives us joy, it gives us satisfaction. So we look at ourselves only, what is pleasing to us, and based on that we ask, basically. But this man is not doing that. What he is saying? He is saying, Lord, if you will. How many times have you taken the time to really sit before the Lord and try to find out, Lord, is it your will? Is it pleasing to you? Do we do that? No, so occupied, so preoccupied with ourselves. Okay, we put our demands before Him, we put our desires before Him, and we want Him to fulfill them in our lives. But that is not the attitude that this man is having. The same kind of attitude that you can see in the Lord in Mark chapter 14 verse 36.
And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible to thee. Remove this cup from me. Yet not what I will, but what thou wilt.
Okay, yet not what I will, but thou. Why is this kind of thought important to dwell upon? If you show desire towards anything more than God, that thing will become your God. If you show longing towards anything more than God, that thing will become your God. Okay, that thing, in fact, that thing has started taking worship from you. You are coming to the Lord and asking Him to do that for you. Why? Because you are worshipping that, not Him. That is a danger. Okay, you might be saying, Lord, do this for me, do this for me. If you will do this for me, then I will serve you and I will do that for you, I will do this for you. But so many times, when you got what you asked God from, you have forgotten God, or you have taken light, you have taken God light. So many people who are struggling for job for a long period of time ultimately get a job. Once they get a job, you can't even see them. And they will say, I'm sorry, I'm so busy, I don't get time. I don't have time enough to read. I don't have time enough to pray. I don't have time enough for fellowship. I don't have time enough. I have so many things. Man, but He blessed you. He should take your worship. Why is the job taking your worship? And in the same way, relationships. Okay, you wanted to get married. Once you got married, God has gone, taken secondary place. I have so many works to do. I have that responsibility. I have this responsibility. Where is God? You have taken Him light. Why? You wanted job more than God. You wanted to get married more than God. You wanted to get some benefits from God more than God. And once you got them, God, you have taken light. But this man is not doing that. He is saying, Lord, if you will, if you want, if you desire, if it pleases you, what I want is your will. You do it in your time, you do it in your way, but for you, not for me. John chapter 5 verse 30.
I can do nothing on my own authority. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will, but the will of Him who sent me.
Can you see that? Can you see that? I seek not my own will. Okay, this man is literally living as Christ lived. Okay, literally walking as Christ walked. What is he saying? Not my will, not my comfort, not my good, not my pleasure, not my name, not my fame. If you look at your life, so many decisions that you take, they are based on your wisdom, they are based on your understanding, they are based on your experiences, they are based on you. Okay, they are based on you. I am sharing that there is something called WWJD. That means if they teach in some places, they say that if there is a confusion in your life about what decision to take, just follow this. What would Jesus do? So what would Jesus do in that time? You do. The problem with that thought is, or that statement is, this man who is claiming to know what would Jesus do, he is claiming that he knows the whole counsel of God. He understands the whole person of God. He knows the person of Jesus Christ absolutely. Because only then you will be able to take a decision like him. But that is not possible. Okay, so we can't take such kind of statements as a basis to take a decision that is pleasing to the Lord. But this man, he says, Lord, if you will. That's amazing. That's amazing. John chapter 6 verse 38.
For I have come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of Him who sent me.
No, that's amazing. I have come down from heaven not to do my will, but the will of Him who sent me. Why have we become Christians? To do our own will. Are we doing His will? Are we seeking His will? Are we desiring what pleases Him, or are we desiring what pleases us? If you will see that 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 15.
And he died for all, that those who live might live no longer for themselves, but for him who for their sake died and was raised.
Okay, so what is he saying there? What is Jesus saying? I came down from heaven not to do my will, but the will of him who sent me. Now why did Jesus die on the cross? Why did he die? So that those who live, that is us, may no longer live for us, but for him, that is Jesus, who died for us and rose again. But look at our life. Look at our life. I mean, don't look at it as just another statement. Consider it. Why have you become a Christian? Don't just give a passing ear to this truth, but really sit and consider. That is a problem with many of us. We are very diligent in considering our affairs of this life, but not at all diligent when it comes to the truth. Okay, so this man, when he says, Lord, if you will, he is not expressing his desire primarily to be healed, but he is leaving it to the Lord's will. So that means that one more thought that we can take from when he says, what he says in Lord, if you will, is that even if Jesus wouldn't have healed him, he would have still worshipped him, because he was already worshipping him before he even asked for healing. He is already worshipping. He has not yet got healing. He is already worshipped. So that means that even if Jesus wouldn't have healed him, this man would have gone worshipping. This man would have gone worshipping. Why? He found his destiny. He found his hope. He found his comfort in the person of Christ. So if the Lord desires for him to stay like that and follow him, he was ready to do that. Habakkuk chapter 3 verse 17 to 19. Habakkuk 3, 17 to 19.
Though the fig tree do not blossom, nor fruit be on the vine, the produce of the olive fail, and the fields yield no food, the flock be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stall. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation.
Okay, can I see that? Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in the God of my salvation. Can you see that? Okay, I think that we have sung that song so many times. What is that song? Open up the heavens. I don't want blessing, I want you. Is it true? Come on, is it true? Lyrics are great to sing, but is it true? You don't want blessing? Come on, be true. You don't want blessing? You don't want blessing? Oh my God, how many blessings we want? But this man would have gone worshipping the Lord, even if the fig tree won't have blossomed. Okay, so when he is saying, Lord, if you will, that is what it signifies. Okay, that he is humble. He has humbled himself before the Lord. Another aspect that we can see when he says, Lord, if you will, you can do it. Okay, he is expressing his faith there. Now this is an amazing level of faith. As I was sharing, I can personally relate with this so much. When I was struggling for a job, I would go for some interviews. And in those interviews, usually when you will go to office and you sit there and the people who work there, they will be moving around and all. When you look at them, you will feel, man, how blessed they are, how happy, how lucky they are that they are working there. They have a job there. If only I will get a job like this, I will be like them. Okay, secure, happy, etc., etc. So sometimes the main boss or the HR manager, like people who are seriously seeking for job, if you will go for interviews, if the HR fellow is going there, he's HR man, he's HR. He's looking like God to them. Why? If he says yes, they get a job. They get a job. So I'm desperate for job. When I look at a boss, the company CEO going, my God, if only I can find 5 minutes with him, I'll tell him, man, give me that job. You can do it. You have the power to do it. Just give me that job. We'll do that. Now, how many of you say that you won't do that? Because you're desperate for job. This man, his health is for last so long, for so many years, this man has been suffering with this disease. Now here comes the opportunity of a lifetime. Jesus is standing before him. And he knows that Jesus has the ability to heal him. So what should he do? He should say, heal me. But he doesn't say that. That's amazing. He doesn't say that. He's saying, if you want, you can do it. But I don't know if you will do it for me. Yet I will worship. Yet I will praise you. Man, that's faith. That's one of the highest levels of faith. I'm not saying asking and receiving from him is a wrong thing or it's unbelief or something, but this is highest level of faith. Though he is seeing the man who can deliver him from the problem that he has been having from years together, he is now standing in front of that man, and if he just says, heal me, he would speak a word and that man would be healed. But this man says, I know you can do it, but I don't know if you will do it for me, yet it is fine. Man, that's faith. That's amazing faith. He is leaving it to the sovereignty of God. Okay, he is leaving it to the sovereign will of God. Okay, if it's I leave it to your sovereignty. If you think that it is your will, do it. Or else, it's fine. Okay, leaving it to a sovereignty. Daniel chapter 3 verse 17 to 18. Daniel 3, 17 and 18.
But if in the case God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, he will deliver us from your hand, O king. But if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve your God, nor will we worship the gold image.
Okay, read another translation.
If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king.
Okay, just keep reading.
But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image.
No, that's amazing. They are saying that God is able to deliver us from this fiery furnace. So what will we do at that point of time? Lord, please keep us from that 7 times fire. Okay, we know that you have the power to do it. You can keep us. Okay, you can keep us from that sickness, keep us from that disease, keep us from that problem, keep us from that struggle. Okay, we don't want to face that people, we don't want to face that situation, we don't want to face that struggle. And you say, Lord, you can do it, so do it, you will say. But what are they saying? Even if he doesn't do, we will still worship him, and that's amazing faith. That means even if He throws us into that 7 times fire, even if we are burnt by that 7 times fire, we will be burnt, but we will not worship your gods. What do we do in our lives? We don't want pain, man. We don't want suffering. We don't want pain. If our comfort is getting affected a bit, my God, we can't sustain. We start complaining, we start grumbling, we start murmuring, we start telling the whole world, see my struggle, okay, and start gaining pity, self-pity, and do pity party over there. But these fellows are not doing that. Okay, the Lord is able to deliver us, and we know that. But even if He doesn't, we will not bow down to you. That is not doubt. That is extreme form of faith. That is the highest level of faith. Matthew chapter 26, verse 53.
Do you think that I cannot appeal to my Father, and He will at once send me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then should the scriptures be fulfilled?
Can you see that? Jesus is just moments away from the suffering of the cross. And you know what He is saying? If I want, I can pray now, and the Father can send off 12 legions of angels and destroy all His Roman army, and I can be happy. Okay, if Jesus wants, He can do that. If we would have been in the place of Jesus, and we know that in few moments we will be on the cross suffering, we will be going through all that shame and that pain and that rejection, okay, and all that spitting and hitting and all that stuff, and mainly that sin that being put upon Him and that separation from Father. He has to go through all that stuff, man. He should have sat and thought, okay, why should I go through all that suffering? I am not a sinner, I have not done anything. Why should I go through all this for those fellows? Let them go to hell. What have I to do with that? So, if Jesus wanted His comfort, if Jesus wanted His pleasure, if Jesus wanted His will, He could have prayed, and we definitely can believe the Father would have sent, and cross would have been a gone case, and we would have been a gone case. But look at Him, Jesus. He doesn't say that. He wanted the sovereign will of God to be done in His life, rather than His own pleasure and His own comfort. How we love comforts of relationships, okay, comforts of house, and comfort of current, and comfort of fans, and comforts. How we love comforts. By God's grace, in tent we have an inverter. No, current doesn't go only here. Cool life. Okay, cool life. Cool life. We don't want to suffer. We don't want to go. Our comfort should not go. But look at Jesus. What is this? If I want, the Father will immediately send 12 legions. But how will scriptures be fulfilled? You know the reason God allows trials and tribulations and waiting and sickness and disease in your life? There is a purpose. There is a purpose. If you can look to Him, if you can live for Him, if you desire to live a life that is pleasing to Him, in the midst of the suffering, in the midst of the pain, in the midst of the temptation, in the midst of the trial, in the midst of the waiting, you will find more comfort than not going through them. Okay, not going through them. So God is doing something eternal in our hearts, something too deep for our feelings and our emotions for people around to understand. It is very deep. Okay, when you are going through trials and when you are going through temptations, Okay, don't think that God has forsaken. When you're going through those times, He is the closest to you. He is the closest to you. Okay, when you are able to stand on your two legs, okay, that famous quote or some you would have seen in a calendar. 4 foot marks are being seen near the seashore. After some time, only 2 are being seen. So the man says to the Lord, Lord, you were walking with me for some time, then why did you leave me alone? At the moment I was going through troubles, why did you leave me alone? The Lord told him, man, at that time I was carrying you. Those 2 foot marks are mine, not yours. I don't know if you have seen that or not, but it's amazing. Okay, it's amazing. That's something that we have to recognize. Okay, He is closest to you in your trials. Not when everything is going fine for you, you don't need Him, basically. Okay, and that's something that we have to recognize in our lives. So, they submitted. Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego and Jesus and this leper. Submitting, surrendering to the sovereign will of God rather than seeking for their own comforts and their own pleasures. Okay, so what is he saying there? He is saying that I know you can do it, Lord, but I don't know if you will, but still it is fine. That is what he is saying. Learn that art of living for Him. That will be amazing when you surrender things to Him, not for yourself but for Him. James chapter 4 verse 13 and 16.
Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go into such and such a town and spend a year there and trade and get gain.
Now keep reading.
Whereas you do not know about tomorrow what is your life, for you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes.
Do you know that? Do you know that you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes? How much time the mist stays in the morning? I don't know, when it comes and it goes off. That is how our life is. But if you make that mist as everything, then you are supposed to be the most pitied person on the earth. How long does the mist stay? Just for some moments. If you say that mist is everything, that mist is everything. You see, there is a bird, I don't know what is its name, but it only lives on that, it doesn't even drink water, it only drinks that mist. It waits for that mist to come, it drinks it and survives on that one. It's a bird, that's fine, maybe God made it like that, but that mist is everything for you, those few moments. So how should we live? What should we say? Read that.
Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and we shall do this or that.
Okay, can you see, is he doubting? When we say like that, are we doubting? No, we are surrendered. We are entrusting. We are entrusting our future, we are entrusting our relationships, we are entrusting our everything to Him. And we are saying, Lord, if you will, Lord, if you will, let your will be done. So, this man, by saying, Lord, if you will, you can do it. Okay, he is surrendering and entrusting his future, his health, his comfort, his relationships, his everything to Him. And that's amazing faith. So what does Jesus do? Come to verse 3, Matthew chapter 8, verse 3.
And he stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, I will be clean. And
okay, so what was the response of Jesus? Till now we have seen the the response of the leper. Now what was the response of Jesus? Jesus stretches out his hand to touch him. That's amazing. Okay, according to the Jewish list of unclean things, there are 65 things which are unclean, which if a man touches any of them, he becomes unclean. He is declared unclean. Out of that, leprosy is second in the list, just after dead body. If a man touches a dead body, he is immediately unclean. And immediately after that list is leprosy. Okay, so if any man touches a leper, he is immediately declared as unclean. So, what does Jesus' touch signify? Okay, what does his touch signify? First and foremost, we have to understand that it was not an accidental touch that Jesus did. It was not when he saw this man, his sad state, he moved, he became emotional, and because he could not control his emotions, he touched him. Not at all. It was intentional. It was deliberate. When the scripture is saying he stretched out, it is so vividly, clearly explaining every moment of what he is doing. It signifies he is doing it intentionally, deliberately. And that is amazing. Now, one thing we have to understand about the Lord, we can never force him to do anything. Okay, we can never force him to do anything. Never, impossible. You can't force him to do anything. Whatever he does intentionally. John chapter 10, verse 18.
No one takes it.
Keep reading.
No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord.
Okay, can you see that? Jesus did not come on the cross and suffered and died because he saw how terribly you are going through. Okay, people create a picture like that. When he saw, when he looked at you, he thought, this man will end up in hell and die, and God became emotional and he came down and died for us. Not exactly. It was not an emotional decision. It was an intentional decision. No one forced him. He took it on his own. And that's amazing. So if whatever God does, he does out of his own motivation rather than you, man, what an amazing grace that he chose me. He has saved me. Okay, he has chosen me, elected me. What a grace. Will he leave me in between? No, because he did not choose me because of me. Why will he leave me because of me? And what should that do to me? What response should come from me? Okay, he intentionally, deliberately, before the foundations of the world chose me. If you can understand that, what should be my response? He is not somebody who takes a decision out of, many of us, take decisions out of emotions. But because of those moments, we say, from now on we will do. We will take up the challenge, or we will do that and we do this. 2 days it is fine, 3 days it is fine, 10 days it is fine. After some time it is gone. Why is it gone? Because it was an emotional decision. It was emotion moved by that situation or at that moment. It was not an intentional one. It was moved because of something outside of you. But Jesus doesn't take a decision because of something outside of him influences him to take the decision. He made up his mind to do something. And he chose me. My God, if you can understand that. If you can understand. Before the foundation of the world, he chose me. Why me, Lord? Because I am a very good person. God knows I am a good person. God knows that I will be a nice person. I won't harm anybody. I won't do anything to anybody. That's why God chose me. A fool. God never does anything because of anything outside of Him. He is the only being whose purpose is within Him rather than outside of Him. That is why He is God. Okay, He doesn't make plans and purposes based on circumstances or situations outside of Him, but everything originates in Him. Okay, everything originates in Him. That's why in Him is the beginning, but He doesn't have a beginning. In Him is the ending, but He doesn't have an end. That's why He is God. And if He chose me, will He leave me? Will He forsake me? He promises, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. And that promise He is not making because of me. It is because of Him. Oh my God, if we can understand that and recognize that, how much should we, our heart towards Him, our talk towards Him, our thoughts towards Him, our desires towards Him, our worries towards Him rather than this world. So, when Jesus touches this leper, it's an intentional one, not an accidental or emotional or momentary one. Okay, God doesn't for a moment looks at me and He says, oh, he seems to such a nice guy, such a nice person. So I should choose him for heaven, because in heaven I have all foolish angels. So this guy will be so nice if he will be in heaven. That's why He chose you. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. So according to Jewish belief, Jewish understanding, if anybody is having a leprosy or anybody is attacked by leprosy, it is because that man or woman would have committed something very terrible or would have done something, a very great sin. That's why leprosy came. Because there are some incidents in the Bible where some people, when they disobeyed God, they immediately got stuck with leprosy. You will see Numbers chapter 12 verse 9 to 10.
And the anger of the Lord was kindled against him, and he departed. And when the cloud removed from the tent, over the tent, behold, Miriam was leprous, as white as snow. And Aaron turned towards Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said to Moses, O my Lord, do not punish us, because we have done foolishly.
Okay, so can you see that? In that incident, the moment she spoke something against Moses, God's anointed, immediately leprosy struck. So, in the mind of the Jewish nation or people or society, it has kind of deep rooted that if anybody is having leprosy, he is a definite sinner. Okay, so this man also would have had such kind of thoughts. I am a leper. Okay, for leprosy to really cover a person's whole body, it would take minimum of 20 years, 5 to 20 years. Like for initial spot of leprosy to be seen in the body, it at least takes 5 years. And for it to cover the whole body, it at least takes 20 years. So we can assume that for last 20 years of this man's life, nobody ever touched him. My God, nobody ever touched him. Nobody ever touched him. Okay, we have the comfort of family, okay, comfort of friends and comfort of relatives who come, touch us, we give, shake hands and etc., etc., etc. But this man, whenever he would walk, he would have to always shout, I am unclean, I am unclean, I am unclean. Okay, he has to shout like that. Whenever he comes in the city or whenever he comes among the crowd, he is supposed to shout like that. I am unclean. So, when he keeps saying that, keeps confessing that, how much his heart and his mind and his whole being for those last 20 years would have been filled with the thought that he is unclean. Okay, with the thought that he is unclean. that he is a sinner. Because of his sin, this leprosy has come. Just imagine what kind of state this man would have been. And at that point of time, this touch, first touch in 20 years. And that too, the touch of the Lord. Okay, that too a touch of the Lord. More than the touch of a mother, more than a touch of a brother, more than a touch of the wife, more than a touch of the husband, more than a touch of a child, the touch of the Lord. And it would have blown his mind. He is God. Okay, he is pure. He is holy. There is nothing impure in him. Will he touch? Can he touch? He touched. There was no need for Jesus to touch. Jesus could have said, be healed, and that man would have been healed of his leprosy. Okay, that is what we can see in that incident in Luke 17, where that lepers who get healed, they don't come back to thank him. They don't come back to thank him. But touch. Jesus touched it. He stretched out his hand and he touched it. That would have blown his mind. He would have seen another level of God's mercy. Lord, such kind of a sinner who has been declared sinner by the Mosaic law, declared sinner by the society, declared sinner by the family, everybody has declared him unclean, and I myself call myself unclean every day. Will somebody touch me? The Lord touched him. Okay, in that touch he was showing the awesomeness and greatness and the length and the breadth and the height and the depths of his mercy. Okay, that understanding of mercy. Okay, in my life so many times, in my failures, in my stumblings, in my sins, and I was able to come back because I know his mercy. Lord, can you still forgive? He says, yes, I can forgive. Lord, can you forgive a person who has gone to such depths? Yes, I can forgive. Yes, I can forgive. He is always ready to forgive. Come on, come on. Such a man like me, you are ready to forgive. Yes, and that is what he is proving there. Psalm 103 verse 10 to 11. Psalm 103, 10.
According to our sins.
Okay, beauty man. He does not deal with me according to my sins.
Nor requite us according to our iniquity. But as the heavens are high above the earth, so great is his steadfast love towards those who fear him.
Can you see that? Heavens are high above the earth. Can you measure them? You can never measure them. You can measure the distance from earth to Venus, earth to sun, earth to some stars billions of light years far from you. Okay, billions of light years. What do you mean by light years? We have good scientific people here. A distance traveled by light in 1 year. You know what is the speed of light per second? As far as I know, I am not good at that, but 1,80,000 miles per second or something. If I am wrong, you can correct me. Okay, whatever. But it is very fast. So, even if you go by that speed, the stars that you see, it will take billions of years for you to reach there. Still, I will not touch heaven. I'll still not touch the sky. So great is his mercy. My God, so great is his mercy. So great is His mercy. And this man would have seen some part of it. Okay, some part of it. Ephesians chapter 2 verse 4 to 7.
But God, who is rich in mercy, out of the great love with which He loved us, even when we are dead through our trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace you have been saved.
Keep reading.
And raised us up with Him, and made us sit with Him in the heavenly places in Christ Jesus, that in the coming ages He might show the immeasurable riches.
Okay, this is, I don't know how many of you really sit and think about it. First of all, He raising me from a dead state to a living state itself is beyond comprehension. And He not only does that, He raises me from a dead state, sinful state, wicked state to a living state. And not only that, but He raises me to a point where I am seated with Him now in the heavenly places. And not only that, but for eternity what I am going to do, proclaiming His glory forever and ever, He has chosen me. Does your mind blow over that? If it is not, I don't know why it is not. Why it is not? Lord, but why me, Lord? Oh, the problem is we have made the cares of this life, the relationships of this life, the pleasures of this life so important that something of such worth is looking as if nothing for us. Nothing for us. May God deliver us from such kind of foolishness. Such kind of foolishness. Just imagine, your eternity is secure. Why are you trying to secure these few years on this earth? Your eternity is already laid up. Why are you trying to lay up for yourself treasures here? Okay, you have an eternal relationship with the living God waiting for you forever. You will see Him eye to eye. You will walk with Him, okay, step by step. You will be with Him forever in His presence. Why cry over the temporary relationships of this life so much that it worries you, it discourages you, it takes you into depression and sickness? Why? That is a problem. So this man was able to see the greatness of His love. Another aspect that we can see in the touch of Jesus is that according to Jewish and also Mosaic law, we will see in Leviticus chapter 11 verse 40, if anybody will touch something that is unclean, he is declared unclean for some part of time. And Jesus, by touching Him, was kind of, in His human sense, was being seen as unclean. People should say, he is unclean, he is unclean, he has touched the leper. Again, that is true when it comes to humans. If we touch a leper, we will become unclean, and it is not going to benefit that leper in any way. But if Jesus touches, it is not so. He doesn't become unclean, but the one He touches becomes clean. Okay, like we have so many diseases. Like recently my brother, he caught flu at his home. He is in US. So he caught flu. Flu is very communicable disease in US. So he kept off his two daughters away in another room and Bhavi in another room. He was alone staying in one room. Why? Because if he sneezes or if he coughs, and that virus may easily catch up those kids. So he is separated. And that is true. We are humans. We are prone to disease, and we can catch the disease of another person so easily. But not in Jesus' case. If he touches, he doesn't get sick. We become healed. Okay, when he touches, he doesn't become unclean. We become clean. There is a difference. He doesn't have a problem of communicable disease. I don't know how many times Peter would have sneezed in front of Jesus. Jesus wouldn't have felt anything. It would have happened, I don't know, but it could have happened. We can't say Peter never had a cough or a cold in those times. But we don't see Jesus ever becoming sick. He doesn't get sick. He doesn't get sick. Okay, that's amazing. He took on the form of man. Okay, not for his sake, but for my sake. That's amazing. He took on my sins, and he did not become a sinner, but I become righteous. I become righteous. 2 Corinthians 5:21.
For our sake, He made him to be sin, who knew no sin, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God.
Beauty, man. Can you see that? When he touches, I become righteous. I become holy. I become sanctified. I become glorified if he touches. He doesn't become unclean. Okay, that is something that we have to understand in our lives. One more aspect. Whenever a leper, or whenever somebody who has got a spot on his body, he should immediately go to the priest to get checked if it is leprosy or it is some other spot. And when the priest checks him, priest doesn't make him stand 4 kilometers away or 2 kilometers away or 10 meters away. He is supposed to touch that fellow, see on his head, see on his body. Priest is supposed to touch. Come to Hebrews chapter 5 verse 6.
As he says also in another place, Thou art a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek.
Okay, so Jesus by touching is proclaiming or proving that he is the high priest. He is a priest. He is our high priest. Can you see that? Okay, by touching. Because if the priest touches the leper, he is not declared unclean. And Jesus by touching is claiming that. He is our high priest. Beautiful. Okay, if you can understand it, it's so wonderful. So no matter how great sinner I am, no matter how terrible sinner I am, no matter how terribly I have messed up my life, if I go to this high priest, he will touch me. He will touch me. That's the beauty. Hebrews chapter 4 verse 15.
For we have not a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but the one who in every respect has been tempted as we are, yet without sin.
Can you see that? He is our high priest. High priest is our representative before God. Okay, high priest is our representative before God. He represents us before God. And what a high priest we have who represents us. It is not that he cannot sympathize with us. He definitely sympathizes with us in everything. Okay, so if you can understand the significance of that touch, it is so wonderful. Let's pray.